Welcome to the CEO Talk Mumbai. This is an initiative by the Talk. My name is Muthu and I'll be the anchor for today's session. And I own a brand called Crumbles and I make yummy cookies out of it. The Talk offers a powerful platform for meaningful business relationships and partnerships amongst various small and medium scale enterprises inside India. And this episode is brought to you by the Tata Tele Business Services. We are the country's leading enabler of connectivity and collaboration solutions for the businesses in India. We offer solutions ranging from connectivity, collaboration, cloud security, IoT, and marketing solutions. And they are also the leading ICT service providers for businesses in India. Now, I would like to start today's session by introducing the lovely panelists who have joined us today. Now, I know this is a virtual session, but let us give a good round of applause as I introduce each and every one of yours name so that we have a good energy flowing inside the room. I'd like to start with Mr. Suhas Maskar, Director IT Octave. Welcome, sir. Happy to have you. Followed by Mr. Sandeep Saraf, Director IT Absolute Networks Private Limited. Welcome, Mr. Sandeep. We also have Mr. Sachin Waigankar, Vice President, WebWorks India Private Limited. Welcome, Sachin. Pleasure to have you. We also have Mr. Ninad Raje, Director IT, Health Assure Private Limited. Welcome, Mr. Ninad. And we also have Mr. Sai Sudha Patro, Managing Director, Mundell Pharmaceuticals Private Limited. Welcome, Sai Sudha. Pleasure to have you. And we are also expecting the presence of Mr. Mahendra Kumar Sharma, Director, Juvani Group & Co, who will be joining with us shortly. And at this juncture, it is my deep privilege in introducing Janice Das, Regional Marketing Head, Mumbai, Tata Teleservices Limited. I would also like to welcome Janice to give away a short welcome note for today's session. Over to you, Janice.
Thank you, Muthu, and a very good afternoon to all the eminent speakers and to all the participants who have logged in on this session so that we can have insights from what is happening around in the industry and how we can implement it in our sphere of life and work. So we have all experienced COVID and we are experiencing COVID. We thought COVID is over.
There is a disturbance from your end. I think there is some noise from your end.
Is it?
Yeah.
Just one minute.
There is a screeching sound I can hear.
And everyone else can put yourself on mute as well.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, very much.
Okay. So I think there is a... Okay. Is the sound better now?
Yes, very much.
Okay. So, as I was saying that, in COVID, we have seen that how it has acted as a tipping point for digital transformation of the workplace. And as we see today, COVID is here to stay. And for how long, we don't know. So this will speed up further. And as technology is now a vital pivot on which enterprises are totally dependent for their business continuity and growth. So therefore, digital agility is becoming a critical factor for the workforce to communicate and collaborate effectively, both internally and with customers. As a country's leading technology enabler, Tata Tele Business Services has been empowering enterprises with voice, data, and managed services to develop deep digital capabilities, build resilience, and enhance operational efficiency. Enterprises are moving fast on their digital curve and are embracing hybrid work culture that allows them to service their customers from anywhere and anytime. To meet this growing demand, we have strengthened our portfolio of services such as cloud-based communication solutions, collaboration solutions, Internet of Things, data management, and cybersecurity solutions. We have recently launched an advanced cloud communication suite by the name SmartFlow, which combines an uninterrupted flow of business communication with intelligent call routing and monitoring. Not only this, it also offers on-demand scalability, which allows businesses to adapt quickly to changing business conditions. And we also know that with work from home solutions right now, cybersecurity, how important it is. And as an organization, we just can't ignore this. Therefore, SmartFlow also comes with enterprise-grade security and reliability. Cyber attacks like phishing, ransomware, etc., have become far more pervasive and sophisticated, especially during the pandemic. To address this, Tata Tele Business Services has enhanced its cybersecurity portfolio to provide a world-class security platform to offer email security, web security, next-generation firewall, endpoint security, and multi-factor authentication security services. Therefore, enterprises now have access to a comprehensive smart perimeter security proposition that is robust, scalable, and can be rapidly deployed at an affordable cost. TTBS has further strengthened its suite of work from anywhere solutions to meet the demands of the hybrid workforce. Solutions like hosted IVR allow enterprises to quickly set up distributed call centers and enable agents to work from home. Others, like hosted PBX, audio, and web conferencing solutions, international bridging services, ensure connectivity and collaboration amongst teams spread geographically across the globe. Tata Tele Business Services is also a trusted provider for Internet of Services that are designed to facilitate real-time tracking for informed decision-making. Its portfolio comprises of asset management, fleet management, school bus tracking, and workforce management. Now, for the last 2 decades, our deep customer engagements have helped us to develop solutions that would enable enterprises to compete and win in their respective business segments. We will continue to play the role of technology enabler by strengthening our portfolio of services, especially in the areas of connectivity, collaboration, SaaS, IaaS, Internet of Things, and cloud, while simultaneously enhancing our network and sales capability to cover as much of enterprise footprint as possible and enable them to do big. So, thank you once again for sparing your time and joining this session. I'm sure, like me, it will be a very insightful one for everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Muthu.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Janice, for that wonderful and beautiful welcome note and setting the tone of today's session on a very, very high note. Yes, without any further ado, let's quickly jump on to today's panel discussion round. As I told you before, I would like to, reiterate once again. So this is going to be a full-length panel discussion round. I have a few questions with me, and I would love to understand the perspectives of the same from each and every one of you. This technology-based session, or we are going to discuss about how there are a lot of technologies and your experiences as a CEO or a business entrepreneur has been throughout this lockdown. And I would also like to, re-insist that today it is going to be a time-bound session. So kindly have your answers precise and do not exceed more than 2 minutes for each and every one of your answers. And the theme of today's session is building digital resilience to thrive the new normal. So we're going to discuss about how the digital technology is helping us out in that so-called new normal. Right. So I hope you're all ready. Let's quickly start. So I still remember, so the last year by this time, probably during the month of March, when the entire country went into the lockdown for the first time, all the business owners were all completely chaotic, right? So all of a sudden, The 21 days of full lockdown is something very new to each and every one of us. I don't remember the last time the country went on full lockdown. The business owners were all completely baffled. They didn't know what to do. There would have been a lot of ups and downs in each and every one of yours, and I would like to understand the same. So my first question for today is going to be: what went through your mind when the lockdown began? What were your top priorities as a CEO? So this is going to be my first question for the day. I'd like to start with Mr. Ninad. Over to you.
Thanks, Muttu. It's a pleasure being on this particular panel with the other eminent panelists. Well, as a CEO, as a head of the organization, there are many things which go in your mind, and an event of this kind of a magnitude is unprecedented for everybody, for individuals, for organizations, for large organizations, for SMEs, and on a global pandemic basis as well. So having said that, how does one tackle this particular situation? And this obviously goes around in everybody's mind. Having led this organization for a long time and having faced this particular situation, the first and foremost thing that comes to our mind is, and since we are into healthcare, right, we provide healthcare services to our customers. There are two aspects which were going in our mind. One is, how do we take care of our own employees? How do we ensure their safety? And the second point is, how do we then provide all these safety measures, precautions? How do we take care of our own customers? Since we are into healthcare, and this is precisely what we are supposed to do. We're supposed to take care of our employees. We're supposed to take care of our customers, and in fact, provide them the guidance and appropriate directions. So the first point that came into our mind is, how do we take care of these two stakeholders, very, very important stakeholders, right? So we made sure that we take care of our employees, make sure that we convert ourselves into a work from home situation. That itself was a big task on our hand, right? Post that, and within that particular tenure, how do we make sure that we take care of our customers? So we had to reach out to the customers. We were so overwhelmed by our customer needs and requirements that we were not able to cater to everybody's needs and requirements. So fortunately for us, or unfortunately for us, we have been servicing millions of customers, and suddenly overnight situation changes wherein we are overwhelmed with the calls and queries and for support, for help and assistance. So first thing that came to our mind is, we have to reach out to our customers. So then how do we reach out to the customers? We made sure that we reached out to the customers in whatever shape and form, all the communications, whether it is voice, whether it is video, whether it is different channels, SMS, and so on and so forth. But we made sure that we reached out to the customers. Even then, we were so overwhelmed by this possibility of how do we reach out to these customers with the safety measures and so on and so forth. So overnight, we made sure that all these medical staff providers, medical care providers, we reached out to them. We actually harnessed their capability, made sure that they're reachable. We provided the conduit and liaison points for the needy with the customers, with the medical staff providers, whether it is hospitals, whether it is clinics, whether it is individual clinicians, and so on and so forth. So it was quite a task for us, not only internally, but externally also. And since ours is a global organization, imagine it's
I would like to ask you to get short.
Kind of get to the global. So that's what we were going through.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ninad. Over to Mr. Suhas.
Hi. I mean, the answer today is very difficult to this question because not many things have happened in last 1 year. And I think we could probably try and connect what happened. But to truly answer your question, what happened then about a year back or 14 months back is first reaction was, well, this is going to be for a small time and we could get over it because as heads of our organizations and also looking after technology, all of us were ready for some sort of business continuity plan. So we thought, well, it's a drill. We can do it for 15 days. Nobody knew that it's going to last for more than a year at that point in time. So the initial reaction was to make sure that everything keeps working. Everybody is able to do the job, whichever way. None of us had realized how severe that's going to be. And we were prepared in the sense that we were already doing work from home, but on a partial basis, because I think it was more of a management challenge than a technology challenge. It was our mindset that we were not ready to allow people to work from home. Technology-wise, we were ready. So In fact, the pandemic helped us to do the transition super quickly. Production, of course, couldn't happen. And I know Ninad is more B2C, so I can understand his challenges were far more, all B2C businesses had far more challenges. We luckily into B2B area. So even all of our customers were similarly affected as what we are. If I truly say that point of time, none of us envisaged the period. I mean, we just thought it's a short storm which is going to last for one month or 1.5 month kind of, and we'll be out of it. I mean, obviously we all were thrown now.
All right, fantastic, fantastic, Mr. Suhas. Over to Mr. Sachin. Sachin, please unmute. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. So as you are aware, we Webworks has our own data centers and are having our own data centers. So as a compliance or as a perspective, we already have we have to be ready for business continuity. But having said that, the last lockdown, which was rightly mentioned by Mr. Suhas, 14 months back, was like a live drill which ran for almost 2 months. So everyone estimated that drill to be for 15 days or maybe for 20 days, but it went for long and long. People, rather organizations had to be, so we had other challenges. Rather, we had to ensure that the manpower was well within the data center. They should not be contaminated with other regular public. So we had to arrange the lodging, the food, the boarding as well within the data center. So our challenges were a bit different than, of course, what has been explained by Ninad and Mr. Suhas or the other panelists. However, said that we did survive, we did deliver on the expectations of the customer. So our services are available across the vertical, across the portfolio. It could be government servers, government data. It could be enterprise data. It could be a partner data for his customers. So we had to live up to the expectations so that the partner could deliver his services, the customer, the enterprise could deliver their services to their employees or to their customers. So yes, we did survive, we did that. But yes, we did experience a different set of challenges, which was an unexpected or unheard of. For example, arranging food for employees for a period of 2 months is like a different set of challenge for many organizations. So we did experience different set of challenges, but yes, we did overcome that with experiences. And this lockdown was something like I would say we had learned from the last lockdowns. So this was like just of an experienced player running up or experienced cricketer running up same pitch. So we did run. I won't say we did hit sixes, but we did hit some fours and threes and twos to win the match.
All right. Thank you, Sachin. Just let me quickly hear from Sai Sudha.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. I will totally agree with Mr. Ninad that as he is also into healthcare and pharmaceutical category, and he already covered as we are into B2C and most of the points. I would like to bring a small brief. We were living last 30, 40 years with our span of a constant lifestyle with growing the market. And we know that these are the setup, okay, we are going to step by step how we can increment our work style or business progress or work style in a manner, right? But suddenly after this pandemic, what we missed out and what we not implemented, this is affecting to our business right now. First of thing I would like to bring, that is empowerment of our own employees, which one right now all the employees are working from their home, where they unable to take their own decision what they did in the past, because they were into reporting system. Because as we are into B2C business, we are into communication with supply chain, your product selling to the doctors, pharmacies, exports, and the regulatory system. After this one, we just stopped over somewhere such a way we could not take a call what can be done. So that way it affect to the business. When we come to international wise, already we are tied up with foreign regulatory affairs. Either you register the product, then only you can sell the product, or you can go for a trading kind of. When we come to the international, again we stuck up with how the health ministry of each markets are going to behave, and how they stopped our products to import the products in the market. So we are getting stopped over, you can say, like in many arenas where we are resolving that one, and we are hoping to the best in coming days.
Thank you, Mr. Sai Sudha. Yes, over to Mr. Sandeep.
Yeah, hi. So it was really surprising and basically unheard of. So the first challenge was how to take care of your employees and ensure that you continue the work. Luckily for us, because we are on the cloud computing platform, if the employees are given laptops, they were able to work from home. And we needed, the other part is we have a lot of customers who are serving pathology labs and all medical establishments. So we had to ensure that their services are not disrupted in any way. So that is our part which we did so that the work can carry on from their side as well as from our side. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saraf. And that's been a wonderful round of responses from you, lovely gentlemen. Moving forward, I think one of the phenomenon that was just a discussion that became a reality post the COVID, is the culture of working from home, right? So before the pandemic, everyone had been debating about how feasible it is, especially in a country in India, whether can it be really lucrative or can it be made complete use of, or is it even possible to implement? But after COVID, I think every other organization has its labors working from home. So I would like to ask you gentlemen at this juncture, what is the future of workforce post the COVID world? So I'd like to start with Mr. Suhas this time. Over to you.
So the future of work is certainly going to be hybrid. So I envisage that we're going to have both models. The majority of the people probably working from home, those who can. And as the things improve, we are again going to see some people working back at the offices. And the reason for that is today, when I look at our workforce, or for that, my training workforce in the technology field, I see three segmentations basically. One is a very senior level kind of workforce. They're absolutely not ready to come to office. I mean, even if they wish to, their families are not allowing them to come to office. Then there's a mid-level workforce who's kind of, like evenly split. Some of them wish to come, some of them don't wish to come. And the junior guys, because they don't get an experience unless they work in an office environment. So they are all ready to come and experience what a company is, what an organization is, and gain all the experience. So that's why I'm saying it's going to be hybrid as things improve. There are some employees which are even saying that if you make us work from office, we're going to quit. Right. So that's the kind of situation today. So I see it's going to be a lot hybrid, and I hope things improve and we are able to manage that. Because one of the key thing which happens, I mean, other than the training and the education that we get, is the on-the-job training that our juniors or our new workforce gets. And that is something which is very seriously affected right now. And I know everything else is working, but I'm feeling that employee development, new workforce development is something which is a major problem, which we'll not know now, which we'll know probably after 4 or 5 years of gap. So that's something needs to happen in both. So my take on this is hybrid workforce.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Suhas. Suhas says the hybrid model is going to be the workforce's nature, and I request panelists to keep your answers a little more precise, please, moving forward. I would like to continue over to Mr. Ninad.
So, well, I mean, I have just to add on to what Suhas as an expert has mentioned. When I look at it very, very positively, I believe that the future of workforce is, although it's hybrid, it's going to be very brilliant. We can see the mind shift. We can see the unprecedented development which has kind of come forth. People have now started thinking differently in terms of how do we manage this entire world, rather, on a global basis. So having said that, I believe that the future of workforce is very brilliant. very good, very positive. There will be more and more jobs that will be created. There will be more alternative jobs that will be created for sure. And the workforce will have intelligent and analytical based positions and roles that they can vie for. Earlier it was more of work from office. There was traditional processes that were laid down. But now, having known that technology can help, there are unprecedented viewpoints and opportunities for all sorts of workforces, whether it is top level, mid level, whether it is junior level, and so on and so forth. As an example, look at the education industry. It's completely different now. It is absolutely brilliantly different now, wherein everything is online rather than a classroom training. Look at your clinicians. They are now forced to look at online consults rather than they having to kind of look at a physical pulse. So it's completely different. I think workforce is going to be intelligently managed. There will be a lot of sort of jobs that will be created on the AI and ML platform as well.
Thank you, Mr. Ninad. Over to Mr. Sandeep.
Yes, so I also personally feel it's going to be hybrid in nature, but then we at one point were contemplating whether work from home can carry on for a longer period. But that will not work out. We as humans need interaction, and there are certain things, though our entire operations can happen from with work from home culture also being non factory oriented or a industry oriented operation. However, having said that, hybrid is the way to go. But I see a positive thing in this. Previously, if we were based out of Bombay and we used to call people only from Bombay, now I could recruit from anywhere in India, and I can have more better resources, and I can offer jobs to someone who are not previously having that opportunity. So the future is hybrid, but there's a lot of positives in it. And what we understand as customers are embracing the technology. Previously, they were thinking this is not possible, that is not possible. Now, once they are forced into that environment, they are finding it's definitely possible, and they are doing it.
Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. Over to Mr. Saisuda.
Yeah, hi. Actually, after this pandemic, and people must be thinking that the work from home is going to continue. I don't believe that, because whatever we practice in past experience, it's not going to come over or change immediately as soon as this pandemic will over. By December end or January, everybody is hoping that best, that after this vaccination period over, or in during this vaccination, many things are going to be normalized, and many markets are going to reopen it. And to be part of it, like I can give an example, like Europe, UK already started with their schooling systems, and all the kids are going to school. As per the Niti Aayog last meeting, as per the new prediction, by December end, in India also we will be much more safer side, and we will be back to the work. Yes, 10 to 15% work from home may continue with particular assignments like IT industry and other industries. But as B2C customer wise, or client service wise, we need to get down to the ground level to cater the clients. Actually, what happened, whatever we practiced last in past experiences, if you practice something in 21 days, 22nd day onwards, you don't need anything. But right now, by staying at home, if you practice anything for 5 days, the 6th day onwards, you will be productive. As Mr. Ninad told that, uh, people who are already started to work from home, and or what we were experiencing last 1 year by staying at home, we will come out surely with very best way, excellent, good thoughts, good ideas. And we know that if something is happening to our lifestyle or our work process, we are getting this destructive, or you can say minus balance sheets in the phase. So let's not to do that. So people will work hard, and I believe that economy will grow. So we'll back to work very soon.
Thank you, Mr. Saisuda. Over to Mr. Sachin.
with what Mr. Suhas mentioned, but I would like to add a bit more. The reason being, we are from the data center industry where we deliver cloud and colo services, or rather, which are the core servers where the data centers operate. So our production side, that is the data centers, would have the workforce at the location. So for us, that production site would be operational with the workforce being at the site, whereas the supporting staff could operate from work from home because those are additional IT supporting staff, etc. So yes, we have a mix. We would have hybrid, of course. Going a way ahead, I feel many of the IT industry, many of the IT organizations have already felt or rather experienced the benefit of work from home, and they could fetch out the same benefit or extract the same benefit from the employees as they were working from office. So the IT organizations could operate 100% as well, but still we as an organization would operate in a hybrid model. That's what I feel, because we love interaction, we love communicating with each other. A quick discussion mode is more approachable, or rather I would say, than waiting for people to join a conference call. So yes, hybrid model is I think is the way to go ahead.
So I think a majority of us have agreed to the fact that hybrid model is going to work, and I think that is how the workforce is going to be in the days to come. And I think true to the fact that I would also like to share a very interesting fact at this juncture. I've been doing this around 90% of the entrepreneurs, 95% of the entrepreneurs who are being a part of the CEO talk have told us that hybrid is going to work in the future. It is not going to be either fully office or fully work from home. It's going to be a hybrid that is going to work with the culture. So moving back on time. So when the pandemic had struck, one of the biggest challenges as a business owners for all of us was the cost cutting, right? So the cost effectiveness, that has been a huge challenge for us. But at the same time, we had to be a little empathetic on the employees' end, right? So talking about that, I would like to understand from you how to balance between an empathetic and cost-effective leadership. I'd like to start with Mr. Suhas again. Over to you.
It's going to be very interesting when you look at cost, because we had some notions of the cost in the past. And during the pandemic, we learned that things are happening in a very different way. For example, yesterday I was in a session and I heard that EBITDAs of many companies are turning positive or increasing because a lot of marketing, a lot of traveling, a lot of entertainment costs have gone down. So this is somebody we haven't thought of. We're doing business in a particular way. We're doing marketing in a particular way. We were doing traveling in a particular way. And now we are realizing that you don't need to travel that much to get new business. So things are going to change. Pandemic has told us certain things. The insistence on cost that we had is certainly going to change. In fact, some of my colleagues even critically looked at their office expenses, and they found that reducing the office size or shutting down the office completely and working from home or from satellite offices or the WeWork kind of scenarios, they would save money. So the cost equations are changing rapidly, and I think I would draw on this because Ninad said, brilliancy is coming in. We all in a box called office we were thinking, right? So everything was centered around that. Now our thinking has become wider, and yes, I mean it has become more people oriented for sure, because at least I wouldn't relate this to what happened during the economic downturns of 2000 and 2008, but we saw companies reacting differently at that point in time. Some companies are still reacting today, but by cutting down employees or getting rid of some workforce which is not required going to be in future. But this time companies' reaction is much different. So people are trying to preserve their force and trying to reduce cost in the other areas. And in the whole process, we are getting some other benefits on personal level also. Reduction of our cost of travel. I mean, I'm not saying cost from money perspective, but the opportunity cost gain, the time that we are gaining by saving almost 3 to 4 hours of our travel time daily. That's amazing achievement of the pandemic, I would say.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Suhas. Over to Mr. Ninad.
Yeah, thanks. Well, in my opinion, the way I see this is, yes, it is going to be a balancing act, wherein on one hand, all the appropriate traditional costs, which are examples, travel, could be your administration, could be your real estate, which certainly has reduced because everybody is now started working from home and so on and so forth. However, in my opinion, we need to invest in the employees, right? So whatever cost savings that we are generating on one hand, including travel, including your real estate and so on and so forth, invest that in your employees. Once you invest that cost savings in your employees, in the long run, that is going to pay you a lot of dividends, very rich dividends as well, huge benefits. And that is something which we have adopted for our organization as well, wherein we are providing all sorts of benefits to our employees, whether it is insurance, whether it is medicals, whether it is your small internet dongles and so on and so forth. All costs are now being sort of borne by the organization rather than asking the employees to take the burden. So if we are saving on the hand, you much should be able to invest in your employees. That is your real sort of estate, rather than your physical work office. The real asset that you have or any organization can have is their own employees. So invest in that, plow in all your savings into your employees. And how do we make sure that we also plow in the money to the customer experience? So that is something which we have already managed to do, and I think this is going to stay. It is going to bear a lot of fruits in the long run.
All right, fantastic. So then now, over to Mr. Sandeep.
So it's the extension of what Ninan said. I also agree the same thing. So basically what happens is you have a lot of cost savings, but if you redeploy that as a technological front for equipping your employees for a better technological benefits in terms of giving better customer response, more better solutions, like we are deploying right now CRM in a big way. So we can analyze and do what the customers are feeling. We can see the pulse of the customer and increase the customer experience by way of helping on technological front. So re put that money back into the system, and that's what is going to help us. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic, Mr. Sandeep. Over to Sai Sudha.
Yeah, hi, I'm back. Um, I can say in 1998, 1918 and 1920, the same thing happened. Spanish influenza virus also spread like that time. And that time also entire world came to stand still. And that also stayed for 2 year, 4 months. And then we also that time not had that high surveillance vaccines or any medications kind of, but with own safety point of view and own part, people got cured and they passed through that era. But I wanted to just replicate this one to the same COVID one, right? This one right now, part of end, we are going towards the end because the entire world is getting vaccine. So we need not to panic. And this is a part of a course every 100 years, we are getting something. So I don't think so cost cutting will be help to any organization. Rather to we go to the market and start to plan such a way to invest more. Yes, on people, your infrastructure, and as well as the communication, IT communication. What we made mistake in past is that physically we entered to or we entertaining to all the clients and the marketplace. But right now we know that this type of pandemic comes, so we need to get up such a way the IT system so we can start to communicate further. So I can advise that rather to cost cutting should focus on more investing part where the market will give you back.
Thank you, Mr. Sai Sudha. And yes, Sachin, let me pull you in. Over to you.
It was good to hear all panelists' views. So we had, maybe I would just be representing a smaller part of what our organization does. But yes, our HR had done multiple activities to ensure that the employees get the right medical facilities or the insurance support or the insurance schemes that we run across. So, so is there a much more wider and bolder activity that has been done to ensure that the employee gets the right for the if he's infected by the virus, or if he requires any kind of financial support during this pandemic. That's one. Second, because of this support, what we have been able to do is the cost savings have been able to, we have able to transfer that cost to much better customer engagement during this lockdown. So we have been able to have a lot of discussions with the customer. Need not be just for the business, but it could be just for to understand whether he or his organization is also facing any kind of brunt because of this COVID lockdown, or maybe due to infection. That's being the second part. The third part that our employees, we as employees, that we have done is we could figure out that there's an opportunity, because we belong from data center and cloud solution industry. So naturally, we see an opportunity, and we could see that the COVID lockdown could bring in close to 30-35% month on month increased inquiries for cloud or the associated data center services. So yes, the employees were engaged to answer more. The turnaround time was much more lower because employees were satisfied and of actions taken by the organization, and they could so instead of just being repelling with all the sad news floating around, they were much more excited to run behind the customer, support them in a proper way, and provide the right services. Thanks.
Fantastic. So that has been again a good round of insights from the lovely gentleman here. And as we move on, I would like to talk upon something on the technology. You see, I think nobody can deny when I say that the technology has already been there. It's already been into existence. But this pandemic had only made us to adopt to it quicker than it was supposed to be, right? So even before the pandemic, there was Zoom, right? Zoom was there, and all the other technologies that we use today, Slack or anything, that were all being there into usage. But this pandemic has only made us to adopt to it quicker than it was supposed to be, right? So talking about which, what kind of technology should be adopted by SME organizations to build resilience? I would like to start once again with Mr. Suhas. Over to you.
Good question. I mean, when we are shifting from a physical office to a virtual office, obviously the first technology that everybody has to invest in is good collaboration software. Something which allows us to work together without being the need of being together. A lot of things are happening in this space, but I believe what is need to be done is the endpoint connectivity part, because still when we look at some of our employees who, and I'm sure it is across the board, and that's probably because of the infrastructure situation in this country, that we still don't have a good pipelines reaching there. That's probably creating hindrance. At least in our case, the high-end designing work and all, we're still finding it difficult. Regular kind of meetings can go on, but when we need high bandwidth, our homes and our apartment complexes are not yet geared up towards that. So I think that's the next thing that people will have to work on and invest in. Other than that, yes, the equipments that you're using or the endpoints that you're using have to be fast enough, because the entire frustration of not being able to work is only purely happening because of the device and the infrastructure in front of you right now. So if that's good, I think we can continue to work on. So there's where people have to invest.
Fantastic. So I think Mr. Suhas has mentioned a very, very powerful word, the collaboration that every company is looking forward right now, especially post-COVID. And I think that is the only way to survive in this current scenario. Wonderful. So over to Mr. Ninad, who would like to answer on the same.
Sure. Well, I completely agree with Suhat's thoughts, because at one point in time, the physical interaction, face-to-face physical interaction was absolutely required. It was by default. Now, situation has changed. The new normal is probably it is face-to-face, however, over the online virtual mode, similar to what we are currently doing. Ideally, this kind of sessions we will be having on a physical sort of interaction one-to-one. However, since now everything is changed, the new normal is all about virtual online. collaborative tools is something which every organization should look after, look forward to, and not only from the internal employee perspective, but from the external world perspective as well. How do we reach out to the customers in terms of being with them, being with the customer, not physically, but however on a virtual, on a online platform. So the second thought is we should also invest and deploy technologies which provide us data and analytics. Earlier, say for example, your sales folks, your business development folks, your client management folks used to interact with the customers, go and meet them. And when they meet them, they understand their language, they understand their body language, they understand how they understand the needs and requirements as well. However, in this particular situation, that is not possible. So how do we do this? We need more data, we need more intelligence, we need, as a result of which, we need to deploy more analytical tools as well to understand the way the customers think, way our employees even think. So that is another area that we need to make sure that we deploy our funds to, and that is another technology that we should absolutely look forward to.
All right. Fantastic. That Ninad, I would like to hear the same from Mr. Sandeep.
So basically, we are in the same industry. What we are doing is basically enabling the small and medium enterprises so that they can onboard their journey to the cloud. They have been always having reservations in terms of the cost, in terms of the security, in terms of how it will work. So the always the challenge is whether it's going to practically work. If the employees are able to work from home with the less bandwidth or the internet not being in place, whether they'll be able to collaborate, whether the data is secure enough. And then this kind of collaborative, the face-to-face reactions which we want to see. So that is what we are trying to do. And that's the new change which everyone has to adopt. And like Ninad and Suhas said, we have to adopt to the new technologies, analytical tools, and Zoom and the other virtual platforms, which were not heard of or not thought of, but now is becoming a new normal.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. Fine. I've heard a good responses, but moving forward, I have a different question to ask to Mr. Sachin and Sai Sudha. As I was telling, everything around us has been changed post the COVID, including the way we do business, right? So I would like to understand from Mr. Sachin and Sai Sudha, comment on how the technology is changing the way we do business. I'd like to start with Mr. Sachin first, followed by Mr. Sai Sudha. Over to you, Sachin.
I would like to add a couple of points to the last discussion which happened, or to the last question that happened, is that our experience says that many of the organizations in the SMB segment during the lockdown were prepared with the disaster recovery plan, but they were not prepared with the business continuity plan. And there's a very fine line between the business continuity plan and a disaster recovery plan. So that needs to be strengthened. The business continuity plan needs to be strengthened with the appropriate tools, whether it could be work from home tools, collaboration tools, or it could be video conferencing tools. But then yes, those plans.
Sachin, I hope your screen is frozen. I think he's not audible to any of us, right?
It's the exact point I was saying, right, Muthu?
Yes, exactly.
The end point is creating problems.
Yes, the bandwidth is a very big problem. Yes, let me quickly ask Sai Sudha, and then maybe I'll come back to Sachin. Over to you, Sai Sudha.
Yeah, during this session, we all are expressing about this bandwidth and internet connections. But I told that in the past, we were following the traditional rule, and with this developing era, we used to do the business, and we all success for that. But we not thought of that to adopt the upcoming and current requirements where we need to gear up. I can say that to start with, first of all, that I want to tell that all employees should go for more learnings on the digital world, and what are the new software or new things are available. And inside the employment status, like everybody should need to gear up with all the gadgets and like all the software, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, anything like related to IT. We know that these are going to be changed. In past, hope we all remember SAP system SAP, how it helped us with all this accounting or your collate of your data, everything. The same way, many things are going to change in coming days, the digital platform. So I can say that organizations should take the budget minimum 20 to 25% in coming days for reinvestment on employees training and technology to gear up with the organization, I can say.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sai Sudha. Yes, we have Sachin here once again. Sachin, I think you've practically explained of what Suhas sir had mentioned. Anyway, I would like to hear from you. Yes, Sachin.
Well, I guess I just so what Mr. Suhas sir earlier mentioned out that our complexes and apartments are not geared up for the right internet services. I guess I was a right experience or right example for that. But however, setting up a point, yes, the organizations need to focus more on these tools, whichever could be. One is of course a collaboration because the businesses are changing. They need to get the businesses online, digitalization, or as you see, many of the chief CDOs are also getting involved in many of the organizations to chart out the digital path for organization. So yes, many of the organizations are already planning out with the CDOs coming into place, and the right digital path, right digital footprint needs to present so that we could all have online businesses. I won't say it could be replaced completely, but at least 40 to 50% transaction of the business could be done online. The initial, let's say, pitching, the initial discussions could happen online, and maybe the final discussions could be offline on a face-to-face meet. But yes, that's something I wanted to put across.
All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. Sachin. Yes. So we all have talked about how the technology is changing the way we do business. Now, I would like to understand. So, as a business entrepreneur, we have done a lot of strategies, especially during the pandemic. So, I'd like to quickly understand from you, lovely panelists, one major initiative of your organization to reset growth. What was it? I'd like to start with Mr. Suhas again. Over to you.
Sometime back, Ninad said, save the money and spend it on employees. So what we have done at our end is we have told each and every employee to learn a new skill and we'll pay for it. So whichever online course that person wants to do and learn a new skill, let them go, because we believe in the long term that's going to be beneficial for us. And second, we're asking everyone to come up with a novel idea where if we found suitable, we will invest on that, and that's going to be our new line of business sort of. So we're purely investing on the employees at this point in time, and seeing what new sparks are coming up, and we'll work on those sparks to ensure that we will go through this phase and go back to the growth phase again.
Fantastic. So investing on the employees, so lovely gesture to do as a business owner. I'd like to hear the same from Mr. Sandeep. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, hi. So in terms of the new things which have worked for us, is one is we have completely come out of our hardware business. What we did is we are concentrating on cloud and backup only. So our company now is only and only doing cloud services. Second, what we did is we engaged into the dealer network. We educated them, and previously it was always about our IP, our knowledge. We were not very open to sharing that with the dealers or the customers per se. But what we have done right now is we are sharing L level of support. We are educating the partners across India. And what we find is our support infrastructure, or the time taken for any kind of support at the customer end, is drastically reduced. And we are becoming partners in relationship, in a better bonding, and we are growing in that fashion. So that's the main thing. And what we have done is we've taken care on the infrastructure side. We are giving infrastructure in a more abundance and making sure that it does not give you any issues in terms of performance. And the other thing, what we have isolated is simple is powerful. So anything what we want to do in terms of designing, in terms of anything, we have kept it very simplistic. And once we have gone for our architecture, we roll the same model again and again. And any problem, whether it is solved, not solved, what we do is we see what is the root cause of that problem and try and make a FAQ on top of it so that the same problem is not repeated again. So that's really helped us. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic, Mr. Sandeep. Yes, over to Sachin. I would like to hear your response on the same.
We have invested to reset growth. We have invested on two fronts. One is, of course, the employees, because of course it's the right time for employees to learn new technologies, learn new stuff, bring out new ideas. But then we have also invested on customer experience. How do we better how do we enhance the customer experience during this lockdown? Of course, new customer engagements would be limited, but then yes, how do we enhance the existing customer experience? What better experiences, what better changes could be made so that they could face the customer delight? So we are trying to achieve something called as customer delight. So that's something very focused on. So there's one is on the employee, second is one of the customer experience.
Fantastic. Sachin, I have again a different question to be asked to the remaining two panelists here. So again, I think we'll do a rapid fire here to Mr. Ninad and Sai Sudha. So I would like to again, this again differently put a question from the one I have asked just now. So I'd like to ask to Mr. Ninad and Sai Sudha, what was that one thing that worked well for your business, which you would like to share to the others? I'll start with Mr. Ninad.
Sure. So the single most differential factor for us was our mindset shift on the way we did business. So earlier it was all the customers used to go to the clinics, go to the hospitals, and so on and so forth, right? Now with the lockdown, obviously that is not possible. So how does one do business? We completely pivoted 180 degrees, topsy-turvy, upside down, and we then got into the fact that we started getting the hospitals and the health service providers to your doorstep, to the customer's doorstep, to their homes, to their houses. So no need of traveling everywhere. Just change it differently, bring the care, bring the medical staff to their houses, to their homes, and still do better business. And that also has culminated into better customer experience. So rather than having the customers travel, we travel to their houses and homes. And that really enabled us big benefits, multifold benefits as such, be it business, be it experience, be it comradeship, be it relationship, you name it. And it has changed our world. And I think that is the single most change that we have brought to our own business and organization.
Thank you, Mr. Ninad. Over to Sai Sudha. I have a quick response from you.
Yeah, hi. I can tell in a very precise way. The one thing what we did is that as we are into exports only, not into much more into domestic business, the clients we were serving only into formulation, pharmaceutical products, finished products from India to export. But now we are offering entire requirement of client, what they need from India. As there is a cutoff from China or other markets. So that way we are getting more clients, not only to selling particular medicines, we are offering him entire healthcare systems, whatever the knowledge they require from there. And plus we are gearing with our regulatory point of view by preparing our data analytics and your pharmaceutical upgradation to the Ministry of Health. So that way we can say that upgradation and more service to the client, no matter what you want inside your system, that is my healthcare, you can say.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sai Sudha. So I'd like to wrap up today's panel discussion with a last question, which would be common to everyone here. A rather very simple lifestyle-based question. I would like to have a very precise answer. During this pandemic, what did you read or watch to get business update? A very simple question. We'll wrap it quick. I'll start with Mr. Suhas.
Certainly, I'm not reading and looking at television. So that's one thing for sure. I can tell you what I'm not doing. When I get up in the morning, I just quickly look at some of the business headlines, and whichever is of interest, then I go drill down. So I rely heavily on my Apple device for that. I mean, so over a period of time, the information that I like to read is kind of getting collated and fed to me, and then whichever I like, I go much more detailed and read.
Fantastic. So over to Ninad.
Well, apart from all the other reading materials that we normally go through, whether it is on a personal basis, whether it is on an individual basis, I rather like to read Forbes global business reviews. And one of the reasons is because it has a lot of insights, a lot of experiences and learnings from those who have sort of been able to catapult themselves from where they were to where currently they are. Examples galore. One would be Elon Musk, quite a big influencer, wherein his Tesla organization was almost up for bankruptcy earlier. And then from that particular spot of botheration to where Tesla is, I think it is a story of determination, grit, dedication, focus, confidence, and so on and so forth. So that is something which I regularly on a daily basis I read.
Fantastic, Mr. Ninad. Mr. Sandeep.
Yeah, hi. So I've not been reading as such much, but the best part is something called Audible, which is like books on audio. So I have been listening to that, and it helps me in my walk also. In terms of I go for a walk and I just hear that books. So that's a self-help as well as some technological things. And like I am also fascinated, or I also pursue on LinkedIn, basically Elon Musk and a few other people, and we try to catch up or see what the ideologies are, what are the new futuristic things. I have actually subscribed over there for the new upcoming trends in the market in terms of cloud or the technology which we are in the business of. So that's what.
All right.
Thank you.
Fantastic, Sandeep. Over to Mr. Sai Sudha.
Hi. Yeah, I can say that I'm reading more onto each and every country's uses, kind of what they're using in our pharmaceutical sector products, what the requirements, and how their market grows. And I'm bit into the trade investments, so how the markets are going out. And one more book I'm just started reading, that A Bottle of Lies, that is by Catherine Iban. She told that about that how pharmaceutical companies are hiding and what they are missed out to gear up compared to multinational companies. So just trying to grab as much knowledge, and till the time I'm in the field to deliver my stuff.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sai Sudha. Sachin, I would like to end up with you. Over to you.
Well, I like to read some good experience books, maybe. So, like say, currently I'm reading up the 5 a.m. Club, Ravin Sharma. I do also follow two popular podcasts. One is from Warren Buffett, and second is from Gary V. I would say a new age philosopher who has different radical ways of philosophies, but then yes, Gary Vee something and Warner Buffett, both of them which I follow. Onto the technology or to the industry insights, yes, of course, I follow up with the Forbes and the Gartner reports, etc. But then those are on the technology or on the business side. But on a personal level, I limit myself to this podcast or to these books. So I'm somewhat of an old timer who loves to I love the smell of the books, the pages.
Fantastic, fantastic, Sachin. And with that, we come to the end of today's panel discussion round. And I think I really had a great time for the last 60 minutes in knowledge sharing with lovely entrepreneurs and business owners. Because each and every one of you had a very wonderful point to touch upon. Like Suhasa was talking about the bandwidth, for which Sachin gave a real-time example, and also investing on the employees on a serious front, and how exports are being you've done during this chaotic situation, just like how Sai Sudha said, and also Sandeep and Ninad, who are all sharing a lot of interesting insights. As I told you, this is going to be a recorded session, and once it is on YouTube, I'm very, very sure that the ones who are going to view this have a lot of learnings to take home and implement it in their businesses and develop. And on behalf of the talk, I thank each and every one of you panelists who spent your valuable time with us in this lovely panel discussion round. All the very best for your endeavors in the days to come. And I think we are inevitable to face again another wave of COVID. But at this juncture, let us all stay safe. Let us all stay together. And let us all win the COVID and come on flying colors. Thank you so much, dear panelists, for joining with us. Have a lovely weekend ahead. Thank you.